So the first thing I kind of want to lead off with is just curious about your journey, how you got here to St. Paul's, but more importantly, how you knew this was what you were meant to do as far as being a reverend here.
Oh, this is not necessarily where I thought I would be.
Sure.
So about 2.5 years ago, I was finishing up a chaplain residency with the Cleveland Clinic, and I was thinking of going into hospital chaplaincy. And I was encouraged by a member of the diocesan staff who said, you should think about St. Paul's, because St. Paul's was in a discernment time. They were in a leadership transition, so they were looking for a new rector, which is the role that I'm in. And I didn't pay much attention the first time this person told me to think about St. Paul's, because I wasn't thinking parish ministry. And so the second time she told me, I thought, well, okay, I'll pray about it. I'll put my name in the hat, because the worst that could happen, or the most that I thought would happen, was that I'd get an interview and there would be good practice. I really didn't think that this parish would call me as their rector, nor did I think I would be ready to step into that role. But I did the interview process, and after my first interview with the people of St. Paul's, which went an hour and 45 minutes, I started to feel a little bit more excitement and have a little bit more of an inkling and a possibility that this might be the place for me. But I still wasn't totally convinced. And so I was asked for a second interview. And when I went to that, it was a beautiful day in the summer, and a couple of the members of the search committee took me to the Medina County, the farmer's market downtown.
Okay.
It was a beautiful day, so we got to walk around outside. I got a snack, and then we went to lunch over at an Italian restaurant. And it was wonderful. And I think it was in that time that I actually felt like, this might be the place, and this might be what I'm called to next. But I remember still holding back a little, because I thought, they've met me in person and walked around with me, and now they realize, like, no, we don't want her. So again, I waited, and all in this time I was praying and just trying to look and listen for the sign. Okay, God, give me a sign, make it clear. The search committee, their role is to interview and do the process of trying to find candidates. And then they pass along their choices or their choice to the vestry, who then has to vote on that person. So the search committee sent my name into the vestry. The vestry did their research, their prayer, and then they called me, physically called me on the phone and said, we would like to call you as our new rector. And I remember being a little bit in shock, and also kind of like at that moment I felt like, oh, like I can
It's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. And I think the more from the time that I put my name in the hat, so to speak, my first interview, my draw to chaplaincy maybe lessened a little, because I was going down this other route of a possibility. So that happened, and it's been now 2 years since I've served and been the rector of St. Paul's in Medina. But your other question, which was like, so how did I know, or did I know, or what was the path to becoming?
Well, even then, so what took you to being a chaplain? So what brought you there? So you explained how you got here, but what brought you to this originally then?
Yeah, I did chaplaincy. So this is good. We're going backwards a little bit.
Yeah.
The reason I decided to do a hospital chaplaincy residency, is called CPE, Clinical Pastoral Education, was because I was in a time of transition in my own life. I served as a curate and a vicar. So those are just words in our Episcopal Church lingo of the kind of role you serve as a priest. So I was a priest in both of those contexts, but I finished up my curacy and my vicarship, which was a 3-year term, and I served at 2 different congregations. I finished that up, and I was trying to figure out, well, what next? I interviewed for a couple jobs in parish ministry. They didn't work out. And so I thought clinical pastoral education both helps me work through my own stuff. It helps me learn about myself, while also getting to serve and work in a context where I can help people, or try to help them. And so I did it for a year, and it was great and hard. And that's where I thought chaplaincy would be my route. But I think the Holy Spirit, I think, had another direction, and I tried to be open to that. And so that's how then I got to St. Paul's. Was the priest who said, you should think about them, and me kind of hesitating, and then saying, well, I'll get a job interview maybe, and I'll learn from that. That's really as much as I thought it would be. So chaplaincy was before that.
That's fascinating, because I think a lot of people or at least I would think of it as far as that process can't be at all relatable to what we go through every day to get jobs or going through interview processes, and to find that you're going through a lot of the same kind of things that everybody else is, when you're thinking, ooh, maybe I won't go for that, maybe I'm not ready for that, but then you get that second call and everything kind of starts to change.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Very relatable.
Oh,
Sounds
absolutely.
like you know those feelings. And
Going through the vestry is like going through HR, and yeah,
yeah.
we've all been through that. So that's kind of cool to hear how that worked.